So before we get into things, I just want to clarify that, I'm not trying to say Destiny 2 is a bad game. I don't want this to come off as me saying that the game is trash or anything like that. I'm not trying to take away your enjoyment of the game or anything, because, me myself, I've already put quite a bit of time into this game, and it is enjoyable. There's no denying that they vastly improved on some of the things from Destiny 1, but then at the same time, I feel like they took like 20 steps back compared to all the progress we made in the 3 years of Destiny 1. And also, I know people are going to be saying this. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it on other YouTube videos. People saying, well, you can't compare year 3 of Destiny 1 to vanilla Destiny 2. And to an extent, you are right. Like, you can't compare things like the weekly featured raid playlist, because for one, we only have one raid in Destiny 2, whereas in Destiny 1 we had 4. So, for that, you would be right. And then also things like the weekly story playlist, since we only have like the base missions in the game as of right now. I still think they could do like daily story missions and stuff, but I'll get to that later on. But for the most part, everything else that was in Destiny 1 year 3, I see no reason why some of that stuff couldn't have came forward. And I think for the most part, it's all fair game. But, once more, I just want to reiterate, I'm not trying to say Destiny 2 is a bad game. Like I said, I've enjoyed this game quite a bit, and I've already put quite a bit of time into it, so just wanted to mention that one more time just so people don't get enraged. But anyways, I've split this list up into 2 different parts. The first section is just little minor things that I don't really see why they didn't come back. It's just little things here and there that I really enjoyed. It's nothing too game-changing or game-breaking or anything like that. It's just stuff that was in the original game that I miss. I know there are going to be some people who won't care anything at all about some of this stuff. That's why I'm putting it in the minor section. And then, of course, after that, I'll go over some of the major things that I have absolutely no idea why they didn't bring back or why they're not in the game as of right now. But, with that out of the way, I guess let's go ahead and start with some of the minor things. So first off, we have our bounties. Now, I know in Destiny 2 we have like daily challenges on like each planet and stuff like that, but to me, it's not the same thing as like our daily patrol bounties, our daily crucible bounties. There were even daily strike bounties and also the weekly ones that you could do that, they just didn't come back. Like I said, this isn't anything major. It's just, I would first get on, or say on the weekend, I would get up early in the morning, have some coffee, go do some of the daily patrol bounties like that, and then as a warm-up, just go play some Crucible and do the bounties for that as well. It was just a nice little way that you could earn some extra reputation as well as like planetary materials and stuff like that. But like I said, in Destiny 2, there are the challenges that you can do on each planet, but to me, it's not the same thing. But then after that, we have legendary shards actually having a meaning. In Destiny 2, the only thing you can do is buy exotics from Xur. That's like the only purpose they serve as of right now. And currently, I'm sitting at around 1,800 legendary shards in Destiny 2. Because, there's really literally nothing to spend them on except for exotics. And I've already had a bunch of the exotics that Xur has brought. I don't quite know why he doesn't sell more than just exotics, like maybe some shaders or something like that. So hopefully in the future they will have a little more meaning than what they have right now. Then after that, we have things like faction rep. Now, of course, in Destiny 2, we have the new token system that was implemented. I'm not too big of a fan of that. I miss, like, the actual reputation that you could gain from, like, the Crucible, the Vanguard, the Iron Banner. To an extent, the factions. I think the tokens are okay for the faction rally and stuff like that. It wasn't too big of a deal. But for the Crucible and the Iron Banner and the Vanguard and stuff like that, I like being able to do strikes and patrols and earning reputation through that. Whereas now it just feels like you're going to Chuck E. Cheese and you're turning in tokens to get rewards. It's just, I don't know, it just feels kind of cheesy to me. I know some people won't care, like I said, but to me, I miss the old reputation that you could gain. Although I will say that, for the gunsmith turning in like weapon parts or gunsmith materials, that actually does make sense. But, for everything else, I just kind of miss the old reputation gains that we had. But then next up, we have the vault. So different tabs for weapons and armor in the vault, as well as like your materials and stuff like that you wanted to add in. Now, of course, this could change because, as the future expansions and stuff come out, we'll get more loot. And I would say they hopefully will increase the vault space and maybe add like different tabs for weapons and armor and stuff. Because right now it's just all kind of cluttered and it just looks really messy. It kind of gets on my nerves. But like I said, I know some people won't care about that. And then next up we have Grimoire score as well as dead ghosts or just collectibles in general. So for the Grimoire score, they said they took all that out so they could add it in game. Although I don't think they did too good of a job of that, I'm not going to lie. But that's all fine and dandy if they wanted to add it in game. I don't see why they took out the score and everything for it though. Especially the dead ghost. With these new planets they've added, like for instance Nessus, I think that is one of the coolest looking planets we've ever had. Yet there's not much of a reason to go out and adventure all these areas. If they had dead ghosts and everything scattered all over, that'd be a cool little way they could tell more stories, get people into the lore. Granted, they would probably have to add a in-game tab for lore. I don't know why they haven't done that already, but that's a whole nother topic. But still, if we had dead ghosts and everything scattered all over all these worlds, there'd be way more reasons to go explore and look around for different stuff. And then like I said, the Grimoire score, I don't know why they took that out. Like, I don't think that caused elitism in anything I ever saw. Like, everything I went to LFG, to do the raid, like Wrath of the Machine must have Grimoire of 5,000, otherwise you can't do it. I don't think I ever saw anything like that, and I thought it was a cool little way to show like, hey, look at this, I went and grinded and got all these ghosts and did all this stuff to increase my grimoire score. It was like a cool little nod for players who went out and grinded all that stuff, but I mean, kind of wish it would come back, but doubt it. So on to the last two things. So the first one is sword ammo. So in Destiny 2, you can't carry nowhere near as much sword ammo as you could in Destiny 1, especially with like the exotic swords, and if you had the artifact that allowed you to carry more sword ammo, you could get up to like 100 sword ammo, I'm pretty sure. And even the legendary swords, you could get up to like 60 or 70 ammo, and in Destiny 2, the most I've seen is like 32, so you can't carry nowhere near as much sword ammo, and it's just kind of, it's not really boring, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel the same as Destiny 1. And then the last thing that really bugged me that I missed from Destiny 1, that's kind of a minor thing, is my weapons and blessing bubble on my Titan. Now, I know people who are going to say, well, just play the Warlock, get the healing and empowering rift, it's the same thing. And to that, I say, no! Because to me, that is not the same thing as my beloved weapons and blessing bubble. I mean, of course, it serves the same purpose, but it's not the same. Alright, so on to some of the major things. I'm going to try to go through some of these pretty quick, that way I don't just drag this video out. So the first thing is the removal of machine guns. I have no idea why they would take them out. The only thing I can think of is for the balance of PvP. The main reason they've removed everything from the game. But I mean, machine guns, I really enjoyed them in Destiny 1. Like the Kilm's Terminus, I use that basically 24/7. You know, going through the King's Fall raid and like the War Priest or Golgoroth or something like that, where you're using the Black Spindle to do DPS. And then say you run out of sniper ammo, pull out your machine gun and just unload. So it kind of really bugged me that they decided to take those out. I mean, watch us get it in a future expansion and bring them back. That'd be kind of cheesy, but hopefully they at least bring them back somehow. Then after that, in-game ornaments and raid bonus perks. So it absolutely baffled me that there was no raid bonus perks on anything for the new raid. In every raid in Destiny 1, we had raid bonus perks. You know, in Destiny 1, there would be stuff like Wrath of the Machine. There was one that you got increased agility when carrying a Scorch Cannon. You know, King's Fall, there was one where you had increased agility when torn between dimensions and stuff like that. It was just little things that would help you out here and there in the raid, and they completely removed it in Destiny 2. I have no idea why. And then on top of that, the in-game ornaments. So with Rise of Iron, these ornaments that we got for doing the challenge modes, that was some of the coolest stuff I have ever seen. By far, the best looking armor. And some people may say, well, you may have to wait till the prestige raid or the challenge modes and stuff like that. But the thing is, wouldn't they have already added some of this in the game, or they should have, like going flawless in Trials, how in Destiny 1 you got Trials ornaments? So if those were in the game, it looks like we would already at least have the Trials stuff already. But there is a chance they could still add this in. I really hope that they do, because like I said, the armor from Age of Triumph from doing the challenge mode and the raid, like I said, was some of my favorite armor. It absolutely looked amazing. So hopefully they do bring that back. So next up we have the old weapon system. So of course in Destiny 2 we have our kinetic weapon, our energy weapon, then our power weapon. Whereas back in Destiny 1, you know, it was primary, special, and heavy. And the thing is, in Destiny 2, things like snipers, fusion rifles, shotguns, they're of course in your power weapon slot. Whereas in Destiny 1, they were in your special weapons. Now of course this did cause problems here and there in PvP, but with the changes in Destiny 2, it gets so boring in PvE. Like, I gave it a chance, you know, I was gonna be like, alright, I'll see how the new weapon system will play out and all that, but if I'm just being honest, it's extremely boring. Like, I'm just being able to use a sniper to do damage on a boss, or, you know, start off by using my rocket launcher or a sword or anything, then after that switch to my sniper and do that extra damage, whereas now you just completely have to rely on heavy ammo, and you probably get like 12 shots, if that, with a sniper, and then after that you're back to using your primary or whatever it is. It's just, it seems way more boring than Destiny 1. I don't know, I'm not a big fan of the change. Like, I know that they changed this to, you know, the way you could have like an elemental burn on one of your weapons, but I think the way they did it in Age of Triumph, where your primary, if you wanted to do an elemental burn, it took up an exotic slot, such as the new Fatebringer that they brought back, or just any of the old weapons. They made them exotics, that way you could get that elemental burn. I thought that was a better system than what we currently have. But then after that we have things like custom subclass builds, as well as intellect, discipline, and strength, and all that stuff. So with Destiny 2 now, of course, we have 2 different trees that we can choose from that are predetermined. We can't change anything about them. Whereas in Destiny 1, you could change your subclass to whatever playstyle you wanted it to be. For instance, on the Striker Titan in Destiny 1, I switched all the time between either Death from Above, or I think it was Aftershock, where, after you did Fist of Havoc, it would leave like shock waves that would, deal damage to people that walk through or anything like that. There was also another one where after you did Fist of Havoc, it would send like a wave of damage towards an enemy. There were 3 different ones that you could choose from, but I like to switch between the first 2 for the most part. Then after that, there was a one where you could choose between like your shoulder charge would regen your health, or you could make it to where your lightning grenades and your aftershock and everything stayed around longer. And then there was the final perk where you could choose between Juggernaut or shoulder charge, even though Juggernaut was really annoying there for a while with shotguns, but I mean still you had that option to choose whatever you wanted. And I could go on listing different examples for every subclass, but it would take a while and I don't want to drag this out too long, so I'm just gonna stick with the example for the striker. And it made it to where you could change your playstyle up whenever you wanted, as well as like the intellect and discipline and strength. Of course, now we all have like universal cooldowns that you can change with mods and stuff like that. It's not nowhere near as effective as intellect and discipline and all that, where you could get your grenade and your super back in basically no time at all if you had max intellect and discipline. Which, kind of leads to my next point, which was the super abilities, like your faster super and everything in PvE. So I can go through a strike now and maybe get my super 2 or 3 times, where in Destiny 1 I could get my super 5 or 6 times in a single strike, actually more than that, since it was really easy to generate orbs, and when you actually picked up the orbs you got a crap load of super energy, and it made you actually feel powerful, running around using your super, generating tons of orbs, just taking out tons of stuff, and just cycling supers with your teammates, where it's just a lot slower now. And then on top of that, there were perks that you could get on your armor that would synergize even more. Like there was one, I can't remember the name of it, but I know the perk was killing minions of the darkness increases your super energy or something like that they've completely removed as of right now, which I don't understand. That makes no sense to me, but of course I miss that stuff. So next up is some aspects about PvP. Now I know year 3 of PvP was pretty annoying, getting rushed with sidearms 24/7 and then fusion grenades and all that, but the thing is, Destiny 2 fusion grenades don't one-hit kill anymore. The abilities don't seem as powerful except for pulse grenades, which are freaking annoying as heck. But what I miss from Destiny 1 are things like being able to play 6v6 or 3v3, go into Rumble and just solo queue, play against all kinds of random people. Whereas now everything is 4v4, which is so boring. I mean, I seriously feel like I'm going to fall asleep every time I play in the Crucible. It's just so boring. And on top of that, I miss being able to choose what game mode I wanted to play. Of course, now you have quick play and quote-unquote competitive play, which just consists of different game modes, whereas in Destiny 1 if the game modes would change each week, but still you could choose which one you wanted to play, like Clash, Control, Rift, whatever it was. Whereas now if you search for quick play, it's random what you get. Most of the time it seems to be Supremacy, which is really annoying, but I miss being able to actually choose what I wanted to play. And on top of that, something I feel like they should really add in that's been in Call of Duty for I don't know how long is either one, showing the player count in that playlist, or show a player percentage. So say there was like Clash, Control, Rift or something like that, and you wanted to play Clash, you could select it and it could say, let's say 50% of players in this playlist, and then you could go play that. Or if you wanted to look for something else, you could see the percentage of players in that. Hopefully I explained that right. I probably did a terrible job or whatever. I don't really see why they haven't added that in yet. I mean, it just, I don't know, it doesn't make much sense to me. But also, one final thing I miss about PvP, and I know some people may not agree with this, but it was the time to kill. So of course I'm not going to go into specifics of certain weapons that either they would melt people because it was glitched, or they were just overpowered for that period of time, but just overall I missed the time to kill of Destiny 1, because now it's just so slow, which has resulted in nothing but team shots and people running around in little groups touching each other's buttholes. That way they're staying right beside each other. It's just so annoying, man. Whereas in Destiny 1 you could go off on your own, get behind someone, and as long as you were a better player than them, you could take out 2 or 3 people at a time. Whereas now you just don't stand a chance because the time to kill is so slow. I'm not saying that big plays can't happen in Destiny 2. They still can, just they're not nowhere near as common as Destiny 1. And there's actually been a lot of complaints about PvP all over forums and everything. I mean, they even mentioned it in one of their updates or something, talking about how they can make PvP less boring. So hopefully they change some things around, because I don't really enjoy PvP at all anymore. So next up we have the weekly strike playlist, as well as the modifiers that went with them. So in Destiny 2, we don't have any heroic strikes or any modifiers in the strikes as of right now, except for the Nightfall. And even then, the modifiers that we get aren't anything amazing. But also, I feel, honestly, there's really no reason to run strikes in Destiny 2 unless you just want like the Vanguard armor or the weapons or something like that. But other than that, there's no incentive to run them, because for one, there's no strike-specific loot, which baffles me that they didn't decide to bring that back. I'm pretty sure that strike-specific loot was universally loved by almost everyone. So I really have no idea why they did not bring that back. And then just the rewards you get in general from doing strikes are just pretty lackluster. Whereas in Destiny 1, like a few weeks ago, I think I got on just to see what one of the modifiers was, and it was like, you know, solar burn, small arms, and daybreak or something like that. It was just something that, it was so chaotic, but it was so fun. You know, throw on the Vision of Confluence Adept, solar sniper, solar rocket, and then have a solar subclass. Just go through and annihilate everything. It's one of the things that made it a lot of fun, at least in my opinion, and I strongly believe they need to change the strikes around and add some new stuff in here and there, because right now they're just so boring. Even though I do like the Pyramidion, the one with the giant hobgoblin at the end, I like the environment of that strike, but besides that, everything else is just really, really boring. So now we come to probably one of the biggest topics in this whole video, but anyways, that is random weapon rolls as well as random armor rolls. So I'll just go ahead and get this out of the way and, you know, just be straightforward about it. I 100% support random weapon rolls and random armor rolls. That was one of the main things that drew me into Destiny and made me have so much fun going and grinding strikes, you know, grinding the Crucible, just whatever it was to get that perfect weapon. Or it didn't even have to be perfect, just a weapon that was a lot of fun to use in PvP or PvE. Whereas now everything has a static roll and it's, I don't know, it just gets really, really boring. Like you get duplicates and they mean absolutely nothing in Destiny 2, at least as of right now. They say they're working on ways where they can improve it, but I think it should have been added into the game at launch. But in Destiny 1, like for instance, I will use the longbow that I had on my other account as a perfect example. I had like 3 or 4 of these on my alternate account, and I had 2 that were really, really good in PvP, but at the same time I had 2 that were really, really good in PvE as well. Like there was one that had like short gaze, Army of One, snapshot, and like hot swap or something like that. And then there was another one that was similar to that for PvP, but then on the other side of that, I had one for PvE that had short gaze or ambush, then it had triple tap, casket mag, and unflinching. And then I had another one that had ambush, triple tap, injection mold, and spray and play. So every time I got one of those, I was excited because, you know, there was a chance that I could get a roll better than one I already had. Whereas, like I said, in Destiny 2, you get another better Devils. Okay, wow, I can dismantle this for some legendary marks. Woohoo, it's a lot of fun. And, you know, this same concept applies to armor. I understand that, you know, they wanted to take away random weapon rolls to work for PvP or whatever they say, but I have absolutely no idea why they would take out random armor rolls as well as armor bonuses. Like, for instance, I'm going to use my Hunter from Destiny 1 as an example. Like, everything on my Hunter's class, or for the most part, like the main armor and everything I use, is built around using a hand cannon. Like, my gauntlets increase hand cannon reload speed. They took that out of Destiny 2. Now all you have is kinetic reloader and stuff like that for, like, with mods. And then for my chest piece, I had it to where I could carry more sniper ammo. Same for my boots. Had it to where I could carry more sniper ammo. Whereas in Destiny 2, none of the armor allows you to carry more ammo for a certain weapon at all, which is a huge step back. I mean, being able to customize your armor for different playstyles was a huge factor in Destiny 1. And then also on top of this one is a little minor thing, I guess, but to go with the armor, there were also little benefits that you could get, such as, you know, increased armor when using a solar or void arc subclass, whatever it was. And they took that out too. It's like they just completely stripped everything that we had just to make it balanced for PvP. That's what it seems like. I don't know if that's why they did it, but to me it seems like they took out all this stuff that everyone enjoyed just to balance PvP. And I also want to throw this in here because I've seen a lot of people mention this. It is a valid argument that does make sense, but, you know, people say that not everyone has time to grind the game 24/7 to try to get that god roll weapon that you may not even get. And to an extent, you know, that is true. Not everyone is a full-time YouTuber, a full-time streamer, can't play the game 24/7. But then there's also a catch to this that a lot of people, I don't see anyone mentioning, or they just forgot about it, and that was the weekly vendor resets where the rolls on all the weapons and armor would reset every week, because you can't deny that there were so many god rolls that were being sold every week after that was added in for Age of Triumph. Like, for instance, correct me if I'm wrong here, I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks in a row where there was a absolutely god roll palindrome being sold. And then actually, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure almost every week after that was added in, there were at least 2 or 3 god roll weapons being sold, except for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. But still, basically every week there was an amazing weapon being sold. Like, I can't tell you how many of the wounded scout rifle from the Future War Cult, and it seemed like every week one of those was good, as well as the Wormwood sidearm. Can't forget about the god roll rocket launcher for Wrath of the Machine with cluster bombs and all that. Then there's also like the Angel's Advocate scout rifle. You could get a Fatebringer roll on that. There was the Parthian shot that had a pretty good PvP roll almost every week. I mean, I could go on. There were tons more. It just seemed like every week there was at least 1 or 2 amazing weapons being sold. And they weren't that hard to get. I mean, it was like, what, 150 legendary marks? So there was basically no grind to have to get those. I mean, of course you had to have the legendary marks, but once they added in Age of Triumph, there were like 20 different ways you could get legendary marks. There was like the weekly story playlist. You could do 5 of those, and it gave you, I can't remember how many legendary marks it gave you, but you could do 5 of those, and it'll give you legendary marks. You could do strikes. You could do the weekly strike bounties, the nightfall bounty. There were tons of different ways, and it would probably take you like an hour max to be able to earn enough legendary marks to be able to buy one of those weapons. So there wasn't too much of a grind there. And I thought that was kind of a fair compromise because it made a way that people, they can log in, play for an hour or two, get those legendary marks, and go pick up that weapon, and, they're set. So it just baffles me that they took that out. I mean, as of right now, it doesn't sound like they're going to end up adding these back to Destiny 2. Hopefully they'll at least add the armor perks and stuff back, but it sounds like they're trying to work for like weapons with like the mods, or how you're going to customize your weapon or whatever. I don't see why we can't just have both. Have a weapon that can drop with a random roll, and if you don't like one of the perks on it, go to the gunsmith and do a certain quest. Like say you wanted Outlaw as your final perk, go grind in PvP and get 10 headshot or 20 headshot kills or something like that. Go back to the gunsmith, complete that bounty, and you'll have Outlaw that you can equip as that final perk. Of course, it could probably be way more complex than that. That's just a little idea I had. I thought I would throw in there. But anyways, I don't know. I don't understand why they took all that stuff out. But one more time, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this video wasn't meant to say that Destiny 2 is a bad game. It was just kind of point out some of the things that they completely removed for what seems like no reason at all besides balancing around PvP. That just makes the game extremely boring in my opinion. But I mean, of course, like I said, there are still things that are fun about it. Just overall, I got way more bored of Destiny 2 quicker than I ever did in Destiny 1. As a matter of fact, I went back and played it yesterday and had way more fun playing that than I did in Destiny 2 in the past few days. But don't let my opinion affect the way you feel about the game. If you still enjoy the game, that is perfectly fine. I'm not trying to take away any of your enjoyment of it. It's just there are certain things I wish they would have added in, or that hopefully they will bring back, that I don't quite understand why they took them out. But the final thing that I feel like I should add to this video that was taken out, or that wasn't brought forward to Destiny 2, that had the most impact on my game out of anything I've mentioned so far, it's just something that I don't see myself being able to have that enjoyment in Destiny 2 if it's not brought back. And that is this.